When you grow up, you either have trouble figuring out what you're meant to do or you know exactly what you want in life. And for Cody Johnson, he knew. You got a chance, take it. No matter if it was riding bulls or singing his heart out on stage for thousands, he was determined to live the cowboy way of life with everything that he did. From handing out burnt CDs in the back of his truck to achieving his wildest dreams, his story is a testament to grit and perseverance. All the headlines, all the midnights. So how did he go from his lowest point of not making his rodeo dream a reality to becoming one of the most popular country artists in the world? This is the story of Cody Johnson. Let's do it. Cody's story started in the town of Sebastopol in the southeast corner of Texas. Cody described it as a place where you could ride a bike to the nearest grocery store and your parents didn't have to worry about you. It was a quintessential country upbringing. He actually does come from a musical family, as his mom and dad taught him everything about music in church. He recalls that his dad is an amazing piano player, and the three of them would practice harmonies together.
We would sit around the piano and they would make me sing the harmony parts first. And then I would have to sing the harmony parts of the song with nobody else singing.
What's actually pretty funny is that he started out on the drums because that's what the church needed at the time, but you could say that he rocked out a little bit too hard.
But I didn't get to play guitar in the church. It was just drums, and they didn't like me playing drums very much. I wanted to play like Zeppelin in church. Like, you've never heard I'll Fly Away, Oh Glory like I played it.
While music was a part of his life from a young age, he had something inside him that he knew that he had to do, and that was to be a cowboy. As a kid, he wanted to be the Lone Ranger, the John Wayne type, the larger-than-life figure in the room. But before high school, Cody was actually homeschooled throughout most of his childhood. Starting in the 9th grade though, Cody enrolled at Groveton, just north of Sebastopol. After going to his first high school rodeo, he knew that he had to get in on the action.
The minute that I went to my first high school rodeo here in this arena, I fell in love with the whole show, the whole thing.
We all have those important mentors throughout our lives, and you could say for Cody, it was his ag teacher, Mr. Fortenberry. Here's a great video of him talking about Cody's experience in high school.
There was a while there he kind of maybe lost his way. You know, I don't know. He's just been a teenage kid, I guess. You know, and I said, Cody, what you need to be is a cowboy. You need to sing, and you need to be a cowboy.
After going to a buddy's house, his friends were kind of teasing him to get on a bull, and he took up the offer. And you could say his first ride was an eventful one.
And I did. I got to about, 6, 7. We didn't have clocks and we didn't have timers. It was just kind of, that's good enough, get off.
Even though Cody got stomped pretty badly at the end of the ride, Cody's adrenaline was through the roof, and it was like nothing that he's ever experienced before.
I just remember the feeling of that acceptance of, man, I could be a cowboy.
Even though at the start of high school he started to pursue bull riding, his love for music always remained constant. His dad, being a piano player, only knew a few chords on the guitar to show his son, but Cody just built on his foundation from there. He would practice so much to the point where his fingers would bleed, and Cody would play everything from George Jones to Led Zeppelin, and you'd often find him bringing his guitar to class and jamming out with his friends. But what really gave him experience was playing at the FFA talent shows. At first, he really wasn't about it, but Mr. Fortenberry, again his ag teacher, would shine his wisdom on Cody, pushing him to do it. He knew he had the talent in him.
And I said I didn't want to. He said, well, I don't really care what you want. I see something in you.
Because of these FFA talent shows, Cody's wife Brandy took notice of him. And in a way, this was the beginnings of their relationship. But they actually ended up reconnecting after high school, but we'll get to that later. After high school, Cody started doing amateur rodeos. While he was chasing his dream, he was still pretty broke. After each rodeo, he would just sit on his tailgate and start playing. And a lot of people would go up to him and say, hey, do you have any CDs? And Cody would just give him one of his burnt CDs right there on the spot. And this would be the first time that he would actually start to make a little bit of spare cash with his music. Unfortunately, he would still have to take up a few jobs, like working for the Department of Criminal Justice, supervising the prison inmates, in a department store, selling boots and hats. One line that I liked a lot throughout the documentary, and I feel like all people who live in small towns can relate to the quote, he said, you either work for the prison or you go to it. While still pursuing bull riding at the same time, Cody would start a band band that would be the beginnings of his music career. His friend, Nathan Reedy, who would end up being his best man at his wedding, was on the drums, and who was on the bass? None other than his own dad. They would go on to play a multitude of shows and go on to record their first project, the Black and White label. Looking back and listening to this in 2024, you could tell that Cody had so much potential back then, and you could just hear the beginnings to a great career in his voice.
To that spot down by the river.
The production quality would only go up from here, and this would be the start of his own indie label, Kojo Music. Soon after, in 2007, they would add guitarist Matt Rogers and do a live album called Live and Rocking, which is pretty cool because just a few years back, he released another live album, and the band sounds amazing on that. During this period in Cody's life, he was a traveling music man, playing in honky-tonks, bars, you name it. He was definitely making his rounds all throughout Texas. In 2009, Cody and the gang kept the momentum going, and Danny Salinas replaced his dad on the bass, then adding guitarist Jeff Smith and fiddler Jody Partula soon after. They ultimately released 6 Strings One Dream in 2009 and A Different Day in 2011. But while Cody was picking up steam, being a traveling musician wasn't necessarily giving him the best influences. Cody said at the time, all I expected was to be paid $100 and a free tab. You played so you're wasted. That's what I thought people did. As Cody began to become more popular, he might have gained a little bit too much confidence while staying out and partying. Luckily, his friend Codrick was there to keep him grounded. Codrick confronted Cody about it, but he kind of just brushed it to the side. Cody asked him if he wanted to hang out, but Codrick said, "Nah, I'm just gonna ride bulls." While juggling both of these crazy lives, Cody recalls a moment where honestly you could say it influenced his life's path. It was at the Cody Darnell Memorial Bull Riding, where just before he went out to ride that bull, the arena played Cody's own tribute song he wrote for Cody Darnell, a bull rider that passed away from a tragic bull riding incident. He felt the weight of the moment, but in a good way. He thought that he was supposed to win this. But when it was all said and done, it just didn't work out that way. Cody said that he ate dirt and got stomped, and it was a very discouraging moment for him. He said that his buddy Justin Richards won that night. Cody was starting to realize that his bull riding career may be fizzling out, but on the other hand, things were seriously looking up for him on the flip side. He reconnected and married the love of his life, Brandy, who has really been with him since day one at those FFA talent shows. And instead of drinking and partying, Cody put his head down and got to work. And the album A Different Day, produced by Trent Willman, really started to get the band off the ground. You might think of the foot-tapping proposal tune, Diamond in My Pocket.
I got a diamond in my pocket and my baby's got a heart of gold.
Or Guilty As Can Be, where he sees a truck in the driveway that's definitely not his.
Well then, mister, I'm as guilty as can be.
A lot more tunes off this album was loved by fans, and it actually ended up landing him the Texas Regional Music Awards New Male Vocalist of the Year, which was an insane accomplishment. Things were picking up. Remember that prison job that he had? Well, his own coworkers were telling him, hey, there's always gonna be people that's gonna go to prison. You might as well go for your dream. And his wife Brandy wanted him to go all in on his dream as well. So he did. He was playing his live shows like it was his last. He was moving on to bigger and better tour buses and headlining Texas music festivals. He re-teamed with Trent again to produce Cowboy Like Me. And just like his music career so far, it's just been a steady, slow burn success, reaching 7 on Billboard's country albums chart and 33 on their top 200.
Bless an outlaw's weary soul, I can never go home again.
Still to this day, Me and My Kind is the second most popular song on Spotify at the current moment in March 2024, 10 years later, which is still pretty impressive for being on his own label back then. But now he and his manager was starting to talk with some bigger labels and explore their opportunities. And when they were in their talks, the label asked him,
We'll give you the record deal, but you got to take the hat off. And to me, like,
Can you imagine how differently it would be now if I had done that?
Sony and Warner still tried to pursue him, and they had their discussions, but it just ultimately didn't work out at this time in his career. But still, Cody was going to be Cody, and he was going to supply good music for the people, and that's what we got with Gotta Be Me, released in 2016.
You were already smiling, I said no.
By this point in time, most people had him on their radar, even though he wasn't in the top tier list of most popular country artists like he is today. You might recall the love song With You I Am, and the fiddle-driven Wild as You. This record was a testament that hard work pays off, reaching 2 on the Billboard Country Albums chart and peaking at 11 on the top 200. The year is 2017, and his manager calls him and says, Old Dominion had a death in the family, and they need someone to play the Houston Rodeo. Cody knew how big of a moment this was going to be. That day was a very emotional day, and a day he will always cherish. He played for over 61,000 people. The thing he will never forget though was riding a horse out that night, and he rode out as fast as he could. He felt like it was a turning of a page. In a way, he was leaving things behind. He knew that night was going to change things forever for him. He was running away from his past into new beginnings. For him and the band, it was now starting to snowball and getting bigger than ever before. Now the next year, he had 74,000 people in the same stadium. Cody thought to himself, I have tons of great friends and family that support me, that are in my corner, and I have lots of great fans that stream my music. Why do I necessarily need a record label at this point? I've gotten this far. Well, his manager Howie says, I think we need to shop this next album to a record label. Guess who calls? Warner. The label a few years back that didn't end up signing him. What a turn of events. Remember the Cody Darnell Memorial Bull Riding event several years back? His buddy Justin Richards won that buckle that night. Meanwhile, Cody is selling out big Texas venues. Justin comes by one night and is hanging out with Cody, and he says, hey, I'm heading out. I want you to have this. And what was it? The buckle that Cody was trying so hard to get that Justin won that day. Justin said, I've never seen anyone work as hard. You deserve this. That really meant a lot to Cody. Eventually, Justin would sadly end up passing away, and Cody just looked at the buckle and realized that he's been chasing a trinket his whole life. He knew that there was something more out there with meaning. Something good will flourish out of a dream that has been long gone. It's crazy how life works out that way. When Cody played at the Houston Rodeo again a few years later, the band played the outro of Dear Rodeo, which was his love letter but also his confessions to the sport, his ups and downs, his whole journey.
Dear Rodeo, I'd be lying if I tried to tell you I don't think about you.
Cody got on the horse again just like last time, but he thought to himself, dang, I'm a labeled artist with songs on the radio. He didn't just run out on his horse like last time. It hit him in the moment. He's not chasing anything now. He achieved what he wanted to, and he was just so appreciative in that moment. It's crazy because all these rodeos he dreamed of being a part of, he's actually played at all of these events with his band. And all his buddies in rodeo that ended up making it, they would hang out on the bus with him after the shows. And they said, man, it must be cool to do what you do. And Cody said, if that's not a full circle, I don't know what is. Since being on his current label, Cody has gone on to release 3 albums so far, besides his live album. His band now is comprised of Jody Partula on the fiddle and guitar, Jake Mears on the lead guitar, Joey Pruski on the bass, Miles Stone on the drums, and Harrison Yunt on the steel guitar, and man, they are good. I'm super tempted to see them live when they come to Lexington in April. With his more recent albums, Ain't Nothing to It, Human, and Leather, it definitely showcases his versatility, like the soulful Nothing on You, and I Don't Know a Thing About Love.
No thing about love.
But at the same time, being true to his traditional Texas country rock sound, like honky tonk hardwood floors,
Bright as diamonds.
and That's Texas.
Texas. Yeah, that's Texas.
And lastly, Cody has his fair share of emotional storytelling ballads, like Dirt Cheap.
Little girl that used to swing right.
But what really made his career skyrocket into another dimension was when he released this song.
If you got a chance just take it.
Till You Can't was the lead single off of Human, and I think a lot of people got an emotional connection with its uplifting lyrics and relatability, and verses like, "You can tell your old man you'll do some largemouth fishing another time, you just got too much on your plate to bait and cast a line, you can always put a rain check in his hand, till you can't." All these verses support one another, and they basically say, you can put all these things off if you want to, but you may not have another chance. Plus, Cody's powerful vocals and the band sounds great, it just makes for a really compelling song. It ended up peaking at #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart, and as of 2024, it's been certified triple platinum. Till You Can't also won Single of the Year at the 2022 CMA Awards and a Grammy for Best Country Song in 2023.
Till You Can't, Cody Johnson.
Written by Ben Stennis and Matt Rogers, they definitely wrote a country classic. But in recent news, off of his new album Leather, it seems like the Painter, the song he did symbolizing his marriage, has really been taking off, and I predict that it's going to be remaining the winning song off the record.
She's the painter.
But Cody Johnson is an artist that has definitely grown on me throughout the years, and I feel like now I can say I'm definitely a big fan. And I feel like his success has just definitely been a slow burn, like I said earlier, a snowball effect, and he's just gonna keep on piling the wins. It's really amazing how you can think your career is going one place, and then it goes in a complete different direction. And I feel like Cody's story with bull riding and his transition to full-time musician turned out to be a blessing in disguise. And still to this day, Cody lives that cowboy way of life. But this was how Cody Johnson came from riding bulls to topping the charts and becoming one of the most popular country artists in the world. But of course, we want to give a shout out to artists that deserve to be heard. So today, we are talking about Jake Bush, who is originally from Texas, and he's doing awesome things like releasing a new album here soon, I believe in 2025, so stay on the lookout. But this is some of his stuff right here.
I guess the good old days are good and gone, but I come from a time when deals were done on handshakes, not by signing a dotted line. When time got tough, we didn't turn and run, stuck around and stuck it out. We give it everything we had and spoke the truth. They don't make them like they used to.
But you can stream all of this stuff on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever. But that is all I have for today, so I will see you in my next video. Take care.